I give the floor now to the main speakers of the political groups. David McAllister for the European People's Party Group for 3 minutes.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, as we have just heard, in less than 2 weeks the United Kingdom will leave the single market and the customs union, and yet, until now, both sides have not been able to agree on our future partnership as of the 1st of January. The negotiations have indeed been intense and tough. They take place in an unprecedented environment and under extreme time pressure. The European Union has never negotiated an agreement with a third country of such scope, and only in 9 months. Let me first of all thank Vice President Maroš Šefčovič and our Chief Negotiator Michel Barnier and their 2 teams for their tireless work and the very good, close and regular cooperation with the European Parliament, in particular during the recent weeks. The best solution for both sides would certainly be to reach a comprehensive agreement before the end of the year. This would provide clarity and this would provide predictability to citizens and businesses. Yesterday, the Conference of Presidents has emphasised that we as European Parliament stand ready to organise an extraordinary plenary session towards the end of December, in case an agreement is finalised by midnight on this Sunday. We stand ready to debate the outcome of the negotiations intensively as soon as possible, and we stand ready to thoroughly scrutinise the final text. But colleagues, one thing has to be very clear. This would be a unique scenario and cannot and will not serve as a precedent for future agreements. There is a narrow path to an agreement, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Wednesday here in the plenary. Indeed, I welcome the substantial progress made on many issues. However, as we heard this morning, differences remain to be bridged, in particular on fisheries, and we all know this will be very challenging. Since it is still not clear whether there will be an agreement in the end, we simply have to be prepared for all scenarios. The 4 targeted and time-limited contingency measures we will adopt today aim at limiting some of the most severe consequences in areas where no fallback solutions exist. Colleagues, disruption will happen, with or without an agreement. This is the natural consequence of the British decision to leave the European Union and to no longer participate in our single market and customs union. I remain convinced that it is in our mutual interest to agree on a sustainable, a trustful and a balanced partnership with the United Kingdom, which is one of our closest partners and an ally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the Socialist and Democrat Group, Irache Garcia Perez.
Gracias, Presidenta.
Thank you, President. The last 4 years are what we would like to discuss today, the last 4 years in our relationship with the UK. We want to build the best possible relationship for our citizens and businesses on both sides of the Channel. Sadly, the populist rhetoric coming out of the UK for the last decade is preventing this. The contingency arrangements are offsetting the worst of the situation. Our citizens can rest assured that we will be able to provide contingency measures to overcome the worst scenarios in road and air travel as well as fisheries. Our contingency plans have to be used to send out a clear signal to London that the Commission, the 27 member states and this Parliament will stand together until the very end. We are aware that it would be extremely serious for both economies if there was not to be an agreement at this time of pandemic, but it would be the UK that would suffer more if there is not a deal. Mr. Johnson is standing alone. The cost of a no deal would be a significant blow to the UK economy after the consequences of the pandemic. the British forces want to see an agreement, and their ally, Mr. Trump, will soon be history. We can't continue to ask Mr. Barnier's team to continue working to reach the final agreement. You have to, however, hear the voice of the European Parliament. The European Parliament has to be able to give its consent, and leaving it this late is not acceptable. We are the democratic representation that our European citizens deserve. Therefore, Mr. Barnier, we very much hope that we will be able to see the provisional agreement text as soon as possible, because we need time to agree to it. We can only pass that text before the end of the year if you reach an agreement by the evening of this Sunday. We have a spirit of cooperation, but we can't allow the final fishing agreement to divide us. We need to have a fair fisheries agreement which will guarantee rights for European fishermen to fish in British waters, and to ensure exports of British fisheries products to the European Union. What we need above all to defend is the single market. We can't allow unfettered access to the single market if the British government doesn't commit to complying with the same standards as we have in Europe. If the UK wants to continue negotiating, there is the time. Agreeing to this deal does not imply a loss of sovereignty. What we want to do is to ensure that we ensure the prosperity for our people who are united and who have historical ties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the Renew Group, Nathalie Loiseau for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Dear Michel, it's very difficult to see people leave. Everybody knows what they think about Brexit, but not everybody's been listening. It's not the time to rake over the past today, however. We have to construct the future of our union and our relationship, and now's the time. We can see a time when our sovereign rights are respected. We are facing the same challenge. Climate challenge, COVID, terrorism in an unstable world, unprecedented attacks against our democracies. These are challenges for London, Paris, Brussels or Berlin. No country can face these challenges on their own. In the past, splendid isolation has fallen short, and now we moved on to the Entente Cordiale. And this is a new Entente Cordiale that the EU is holding out to the UK today in the form of an agreement that the EU's never signed in this nature with any country. There is no precedent. An agreement where we choose to entrust our sovereignty in terms of access to our waters and our markets, where we want to continue to be ambitious in terms of the environment, in protecting our workers, in protecting our data. An agreement that would allow us to continue trade between, and exchange indeed, between our police, our students, our businesses. And I think this focuses on the reality of what brings us together rather than the illusion of what divides us. Nevertheless, a few days before the end of the year, this agreement hasn't been concluded. Today we're going to be voted on measures which are contingency measures if these talks fail. We do not want these negotiations to fail, but it is our duty to be prepared for any eventuality. That is our joint obligation to freely choose our future side by side rather than turning our backs on each other.